how can we grow the tech sector when it comes to Nigeria in particular?
That's a very that's a very interesting question. So I think the technology sector is incredibly broad. There are
Can you
so
speak a bit
many
louder?
aspects to it. Yes. So the
Okay.
technology sector is very broad. The way I see it is that technology is simply an enabler of other things,
Okay.
but you hardly can use technology to just do anything on its own. So, for example, there's transportation. You use logistics tech to enable transportation. Platforms like Kobo 360, platforms like um, Car. I think it's by providing
Yes.
access to like sandboxes. So, one of the biggest difficulties that most technology companies experience is that in order for them to be able to like try out some of their solutions, they typically have to like buy licenses or acquire
Okay.
some massive institutions, maybe like a microfinance bank, before they can even test out some of their assumptions. At least legally, that's the requirement. The provision of sandboxes sort of lowers that barrier for such technology companies, especially financial technology companies. It lowers the barrier for them to actually test out their assumptions and know if their ideas are actually feasible. But what you
Okay.
often have today is like it's like a chicken and the egg thing, where they have to go and raise money before they can test out their assumption, and nobody wants to give you money
Okay.
if they've not seen validation or traction. So that's one of the difficulties that commonly exist. Um, Compared to when we started in technology, there was literally no or zero access to capital. Today, there's currently a massive pool of opportunities for entrepreneurs to actually raise funds. But when you do consider the success rates of companies that are actually raising money, you see that it's really, really insignificant compared to like counterparts in the rest of the world. So I would say like more access to capital would definitely help founders.
Okay.
And I would say like probably one of the biggest things that can help is actually not just any capital, but local capital. Because the biggest thing an
Okay.
investor can do for you is not just give you money, but also access to market, access to partners. Where
Okay.
there are a lot of industry juggernauts, but not a lot of them actually fund technology companies. So local investing, people investing locally would actually play a significant sector. Um, will actually play a significant role in enabling the financial technology sector or even technology sector as a whole. Um, Also, like Nigeria is still not sophisticated enough compared to like other countries in the world. Um,
Okay.
so for for us to peel through the layers, so you think about companies like e-commerce, right? And you hear that Jumia only has maybe like 5 million customers that transacted throughout its history. And that's because like we have
Okay.
little or no disposable income. An average Nigerian has little or no disposable income. So by the economy actually by individuals having money, it will definitely grow all of the other sectors, especially
Okay.
technology, right? So
Yeah.
the general capacity of an individual is highly restricted or is highly suppressed. So just a flourishing economy would actually make a whole lot of impact on all the other sectors that
Okay.
exist. Or
To entrepreneurs who are, newly indulging into tech, what would you advise them?
I would say that like the prerequisite is like knowing what you want, having a very clear idea of what exactly you want for you. Knowing exactly what you want matters a lot.
Okay.
And I sort of gave an
Okay.
example of a way I was able to figure out what I really wanted for my life. So having clarity on what you
Yeah.
want will probably be the biggest thing. The second thing is like surrounding yourself in an ecosystem that enables you grow. There are certain environments that enable you grow, and most will not actually enable you grow. So if you are going to build, do not build in isolation. Go and network, go and stay in an environment that foster your growth, because success needs clues. You need people to point you in the right direction. You need to get advice. And more often than not, you're not going to figure it out on your own. So you need an environment that actually fosters that growth for you organically without having to put in too much work. I would say those are like two biggest strong, advices I would give to people that are willing to embark on this treacherous path.
Okay, that's nice. So tell us a bit about your personal life. How have you been able to manage, doing your job and managing your...
So compartmentalization definitely is really important. And essentially what you can do...
That's a big word to use. So for people who don't know what it means, you have to break it down to a layman's terms.
Yes, that's what I'm going to. So there are ways to compartmentalize your life, meaning put it in like separate boxes. So, for example, you go to work, your work is from 9 to 5, and you work during that time. You commit your time and mental resources to doing that. And when you get home, you compartmentalize, you box yourself into being home and spending time with your family and your loved ones and your friends, or just resting or watching movies or whatever you enjoy doing. So knowing how to block your time and set healthy boundaries is one of the ways I've been able to have a more balanced life. And I think it's really key in just having a better mental health, generally speaking.
What did you study in school, if I may ask?
So I studied computer science from Lagos State University.
Okay, so is it possible for someone who had no relationship with tech, let's say for instance, someone who is doing art and somehow they want to venture into tech, would you say is something they should go ahead or they should just stick to their niche?
I would say like having a background in computer science is not compulsory. It is nice, but it is not a prerequisite. It is not a requirement in any way. If you even look at most of the successful founders, you find out that very, very few of them actually have a background in science or technology. So what's far more important is the desire to actually learn these things. I think the technology sector is one of the few sectors that pays little or no relevance to your certificates. I currently met someone in London. The guy is 21 years old, is earning over £100,000, and he has just graduated from university. He hasn't even gotten a certificate yet. That was really interesting to see. So the technology sector prioritizes skills over certificates, experiences over like paper.
Awards.
Experiences over like some justification or some paper or whatever. Like it's really about, can you do this thing and what's the evidence that you can actually do it. If you can prove that, you would actually get access to opportunities globally, not just locally in Nigeria, but anywhere in the world.
Now, who are your mentors today and
how have they impacted you?
So I think that's really an interesting question, because when I was younger, I used to pay a lot of attention towards like having, clearly set out mentors. But these days, I would say I find more of my mentorship from reading. I would say like readers are leaders, and in order to like gain new insight and have clarity in life, you really want to spend time gathering as much knowledge as possible. And books ultimately help you do that, because like you find a lot of people that have been through like their entire life. So today, as you get older, your mindset changes. The things that matter to you in your 20s that to have less significance in your
Must.
30s. And one thing that a lot of authors actually give you is that sometimes you find authors that have sort of been through like the entire cycle of life,
Yes.
their 80s, their 70s, they sort of have like they sort of seen and been through it all, and they sort of
Yes.
guide you through what really matters most.
Yes.
So unfortunately, I can't give a name right now, but there are several authors that I do find a lot of mentoring from. I
You
think
have a
one of my
couple of
favorite
books,
author.
the names, so we can
Yes,
find
yes,
them.
yes. I would say like one of my favorite books today is like Ben Horowitz, and that's The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
Okay.
The book is primarily about teaching you how to like make really tough decisions in really tough times.
Okay.
Another one that has been like fundamentally life changing for me is Principles by Ray Dalio. And my
Okay.
favorite of all times is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah, I love that one. I love that one.
Yeah.
I sometimes tell people reading books helps, and what I realize is a lot of people don't have time to read.
I think we create time for things that matter most to us. So it's just like being in a relationship. If you really care about your partner, you create time you actually create time to spend with her. Same thing with books. So personally, you have to figure out what works for you. Like personally, I do not like reading audiobooks. I struggle. I don't like reading physical books or even digital books. What works for me is audiobooks. And what
Okay.
I do is like every single morning when I'm actually working out, I try to listen to maybe it's like 30 minutes of one book
Okay.
and just try and learn something new for the day. Alternatively, when you're going to work, maybe while you're commuting to work, you could, listen to a book. But there are people that actually prefer physical book. And for your case, it's really just partitioner, like really just cutting out a section of your day where you can just spend time in isolation or spend time
Yeah.
learning about something new. And just make it a habit. Just read far, read wide, learn new things. It broadens your scope of thinking. The sector that is currently getting the most amount of attention is artificial intelligence.
Okay.
And you are seeing companies raise like billions in dollars, which like it's really rare, right? ChatGPT, a couple of other AI companies, they are raising billions to actually keep these businesses running. And you find out that some of those companies are paying their workers like ridiculous amount of money. I saw one ad for an AI product manager that was going to be about $900,000, which per annum, which just seems completely absurd and impossible.
Okay.
So I would say like the AI industry seems to be the one getting the most amount of attention right now.
So
People should
We're
go
actually
more
seeing like
into AI, learn skills related to AI.
yeah,
is that
I
your
would
advice?
now this is my opinion, right? So I try to think in bets. So in 2014, I sort of took a bet on my life and said that technology is going to be the next thing to make millionaires in Nigeria. And essentially, that bet was right. It paid off. Now, it could have gone wrong, but it was right. Now, at the moment in my life, I'm actually taking a bet on AI and saying that AI companies are probably going to be the highest paying and the most rewarding sector because, like, mankind as a whole is evolving. Computers are making lives easier, and it's being made possible with AI. So for me, I'm taking a bet that AI is probably going to be one of the most significant things for the next
Yeah, I
industrial
agree with
revolution.
that. I agree with that. What are your thoughts on blockchain technology and fintech? I just need you to chip something.
I feel like I'm getting trapped. So I got accepted into a blockchain incubator, and it was actually interesting that the community head was actually saying that there are too many ridiculous use cases for blockchain that are not practical. Now, essentially, there was a point where blockchain was a buzzword, and anybody, if you wanted to like do anything, they'll ask you what's your blockchain strategy. We don't hear that anymore. NFTs and all of that. So I would say blockchain does have some significant and relevant use cases, and the bubble has already busted. But there are some very useful, practical fundamentals that blockchain can be applied to across the industry of technology generally. So I'll say blockchain is still going to have a certain level of relevance, maybe not going to be as noisy as it used to be. Because like when you ask that question of blockchain and fintech, I think my first confusion is because blockchain actually fusions with fintech, which is when you talk about cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. But they are separate things. Blockchain can just be applied across almost, it's just a layer that can be applied across other technology sectors, like fintech, like, e-commerce or whatever. So I do see very useful use cases. It's just that it has been abused. And now, in terms of fintech, I think financial services will continue to remain relevant. There are certain industries that are always like early adopters of things, and the financial services industry is always an adopter of technology, which is why financial technology is getting the most amount of attention and buzz and noise. However, I do think that other sectors will continue to grow and adopt technology, and it will start to become more and more relevant. But financial technology is always going to be the base of our day-to-day life, so it's something that is inevitable. It's going to have widespread proliferation and widespread usage.
I agree with that. All right, it's been lovely having you on the show. I know it's been 2 years since we had you last on the show, and I'm excited that we had this one today. I'm
very honored
Thanks
to
so
have
much,
you.
Tom.
I hope we get to do this some other time again.
Thanks, Tom. Super excited.
All right.
Looking forward